Hi, and welcome to Enchantment of Eternity's review for Humans, Season 2, Episode 7. This video is a part of a series of videos where I review episodes of Humans, so I have to start off by giving a spoiler warning for Humans up to Season 2, Episode 7. If you haven't seen up to this point, you may not want to watch this video, otherwise some things may be spoiled for you. So I originally wasn't planning on doing a review for this episode, but holy crap! This episode blew me away. I most certainly need to talk about it as it was such a monumental episode, but I am busy, so I will have to keep this somewhat short. But good God, this episode was epic. I wasn't thinking that they'd go there, but they did. So let's talk about the biggest thing first. We get the death of a main character, well, arguably a supporting character, but he's someone who's been around since the beginning, Peter Drummond. And what an effective death scene it was. The whole sequence was amazing, which I'll get more into later, but his death in particular was extremely effective and one of the most heartbreaking moments of the show, especially seeing Karen's reaction and how she talked about how her plan was to become human so that she could spend her life with him right before he died. It was truly heartbreaking. But let's backtrack a bit to talk about Mia, Leo, Hester, and Maddie at the start of the episode. So it is clear that Mia is sour to humans now and doesn't trust them, but it's good to see she isn't completely lost as she sticks up to Hester when she tries to hurt Maddie. In fact, I found the whole scene awesome, that Mia was really up in Hester's face and was acting like a badass. It's like, you want to let her go now. So they know that Maddie has the ability to instantly make sense conscious, but they don't know where it is and aren't willing to strong arm her to get the information. However, it is really interesting where Maddie tells them if they try to break in, they'll end up hurting someone, which will just escalate things and make them fear and hate them more, and I feel that's exactly what's going to happen. So Mia and Hester effect their escape by pretending to be Helsa's sons and being captured by the silo on purpose, and then breaking them out from the inside where Leo works from without. And this was a really exciting, well done sequence. This was so awesome to see Mia and Hester swoop in like heroic saviors and then have all the Scents just storm out in a badass, unstoppable fashion. But then it all ends in tragedy when Leo tries to lead them out as the alarm was sounded, and there's some security system that triggers an implant that kills the Scents when they try to leave. Talk about another dark and heartbreaking scene. That was like a massacre, and to see Leo just overwhelmed with failure after seeing this was heartbreaking. But I can't believe that they didn't see this coming. As they scoped out the place and did their research, they should have known that something like this was a possibility. I guess it just goes to show how foolhardy they were being. But then Hester, of course, is a bit more lustful for violence, as she isn't content with simply freeing the other Scents, as she wants to kill those in charge to make sure that they can't harm any more Scents. The problem is her reasoning is faulty, because by killing the ones in charge of the facility, she's only going to make them want to go after the Scents more harshly. And of course she's told Dr. Morrow is in charge, so she wants to kill her, but we know that Dr. Morrow isn't responsible for rounding up the Scents, because that was happening far before she was involved with any of this, and in fact she isn't really that on board with what's going on, things that Hester isn't aware of. And Mia goes after her, leading to an epic confrontation, but it just so happens that Karen is with Dr. Morrow at the time on her quest to become human, and Pete is there to check out on Karen. And this whole showdown was so amazing as Hester threatens to kill that scientist woman that we've seen rounding up Scents, in fact, who earlier in this episode had started having doubts of the ethics of what they were doing. And I knew Hester was going to kill her. I knew it wouldn't end in any other way. And it was fascinating seeing Hester meet Karen, a Scent who wants to be human, as Hester pretty much hates humans and sees them only as the enemy, and Pete, who tells her he's in love with her in the scene, and Hester acknowledges him as one of the few humans that are allied to Scents, but estimates it's not enough, so kills Pete anyway. That was just tragic. And Mia tries to stop her because she knew Hester was, Hester Hester's way wasn't the way. So again, it shows that Mia isn't so far gone as Hester, which is good because I think it would be totally against her character if she was. One thing I love about this show is the dynamic storytelling as it portrays the Sins as very diverse and different, having a wide range of varying reactions to gaining consciousness, which makes a lot of sense that they would be as diverse as humans. And this is exemplified in this scene where we get Hester and Karen's interactions, as the two of them have very diverse and almost polar opposite reactions, as Hester believes she's superior to humans who are the enemy, but Karen wants to become human. And then there's Max's group, who are the more sort of caring and docile type, and then there's Odie, who basically committed suicide because he couldn't cope with being conscious. And that was a very tragic scene as well, especially seeing Maddie's reaction to this as she blamed herself. And speaking of Max, it was interesting to see him building a little community that was exactly what I was hoping would happen, and it seems he has a little relationship going on as well. I do think Leo and Mia will join him after they escape at him went horribly wrong, and after they see how off the rails Hester is. And of course, I do think the few Sins they did manage to get out of there alive will join Max's little group. However, I do think that Maddie might still be in danger from Hester. But I want to make it clear, as I had earlier concerns that they were going into like killer robot cliche territory with Hester, that I don't think that is the case at all, as I think Hester comes off as a very complex and interesting character who has reasons for behaving like she does, just as Dr. Morrow has her reasons for behaving as she does. So it is excellent storytelling. However, I was a tad disappointed with Niska's storyline, as I was expecting a bit more from her, and I felt so bad for Laura, as she must feel like such a putz trying to help Niska, but actually just led the authorities to her. But I do want to see where they're going with this. So my rating for Humans Season 2, Episode 7 out of 10 is a 10, the best. This episode may not only be my favorite episode of the season, but my favorite episode of the entire series. This episode was so powerful, well constructed. I was completely blown away by it. Its ending was so tragic, and it's interesting they're willing to kill a main character and have this synth massacre and have these characters collide in such an epic way, and at the same time staying true to the strong character stories that make this show amazing. So that's it for my review of Humans Season 2 Episode 7. Be sure to check back here next week as I review the Season 2 finale of Humans. Also be sure to check out my channel for many more videos on shows like Game of Thrones, Star Trek, Vikings, and more. So be sure to subscribe so you can keep up with all of that. Thanks a lot for watching.